Welcome everyone to a very interesting playoffs, a tie-break between Imangali Akhilbay, who is here, and FM from Kazakhstan, and he's going to take on the Indian IM Apoorv Kamble. This is happening in Mumbai at the Asian Junior Rapid Championships. Now, what happened was both Apoorv and Imangali had the same score at the end of 7 rounds of rapid. They both ended with 5.5 points. There is Apoorv there, and all their tie breaks were the same. So instead of starting the prize giving, as you can see the guest of honor who is here already, and you can see Grandmaster Abhijit Kunte, Dharmendra Kumar, everyone there and there, the guest of honor making the first move. They all have to now wait for these tie breaks because the bronze medal will go only to the winner of this encounter. So they're going to play 2 games of Blitz, 3+2, and in case of a tie break, 1-1, then they would play the Armageddon. Very interesting scenes here at the tournament venue. Akhilbay and Apoorv Kamble both are ready. First game, white opens d4, knight f6, bishop f4, the London system, knight to c3, and we have c5. Now imagine the pressure on both these players as everyone is watching this game. This is the Jobawa London, knight comes out to f3. Usually the knight on c3 is not doing much, but it kind of forces black to waste a tempo with this move a6. g3 played by Akhilbay. This is not a very normal way to play, but the bishop comes on this nice diagonal, castles, and bishop b4. Knight comes back to e2, castles here, and I believe c3, and white seems to have gotten a fine opening position. He plays pawn to c3, bishop goes back, knight c1. Now the knight can go to b3 or d3. These are the 2 squares that are possible. And Apoorv takes on e5. Very interesting moment for Imangali. Should he take with the bishop or with the pawn? He decides to take with the bishop, keeping it safe. You don't want to commit too much here with the stakes being so high. Of course, the bronze medal is at stake, but more than that, so many people are following this encounter. Knight e4. Apoorv jumps in with his knight. The knight on e4 is a bit shaky, but you don't really want to be giving up your bishop on g2. And so, knight d3 may be a very logical move to continue with. There's also a possibility to kick the knight away with f3. That does close the bishop down a bit. He goes rook e1 and now does threaten to take and win a pawn. Let's see what Apoorv chooses. I mean, f5 is a bit too committal. So he goes back knight to d6. And white brings his knight to d3. The knight could jump to c5. I like white's position here. It's easier to play. But at the same time, I'm not so sure what are the plans here. Like, do you want to go f4, f5? Like f4, g4, f5? Do you want to play on the queen side with a4? I mean, pushing b4 just weakens the c3 square. So bishop comes back to f4. And Imangali wants his knight on e5, which is very, very good idea. And I think it's not a bad plan to simply take off the knight on d3. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3. You have bishop to g5, offering a trade on the other side of the board. Apoorv's bishops are nicely positioned. He has 2 minutes on the clock, 2 minutes 10 seconds for Akhilbay. Looking at the position carefully. Akhilbay taking his time. I mean, taking on g5 seems logical, but he plays h4, forcing him to take on f4. And the position is roundabout even. Both sides are going to find it a bit difficult to come up with plans in this Carlsbad structure. Usually, black's plan revolves around pushing b5, b4. That's the minority attack. White would most likely want to play knight d3 to e5. Bishop comes back to d7. I think Apoorv is going for this b5, b4 ideas. One plan definitely could be to reroute the bishop to this diagonal. It's a very nice one. Yes, he goes for it. Bishop f1. And by the way, h5, h6 is also possible. The bishop comes out to b5, offering a trade of bishops here. And bishop h3 played, putting pressure on the e6 pawn. So one idea could be to take on e6 with a fork. Bishop comes back to d7. And Imangali now thinking queen e2. He's piling up the pressure on the e file and especially on this e6 point. And he's waiting for maybe Apoorv to push b5 and the c5 square gets a bit weak. But you can see knight e4 played. And this is usually the way in which tie breaks work. Both players try to put pressure. They do not commit something very clearly. Knight d3. And one plan can be knight e5, take the bishop and then take the knight. And time-wise, Apoorv is down 10 seconds on the clock. He's down under a minute, 50 seconds. While Akhilbay has 1 minute, 5 seconds. He goes knight back to d6 and now knight e5. Bishop comes to b5 attacking the queen. Amazing play by both these players. Just trying to keep their nerves, not committing anything, putting the pressure up. Knight c4. Do you want to trade? No. Knight d3, no trade. I guess if you go back to d6 and get a chance to take the knight with your bishop, that seems like a very cool idea. But look at this. Akhilbay has now built up a 20-second lead on the clock. Apoorv goes queen c7. h5. Playing on the king side. h6 played by Apoorv. a4. Playing on the other side. Bishop comes back to d7. Knight to f4. Where is the knight heading to? Not so sure. Queen b6, attacking the b2 pawn. Also creating some ideas of take and the rook looking at the queen. Making his opponent bleed on time. Now knight d3 back to defend this seems logical. b3 doesn't feel right. The knight simply moves and the c3 pawn gets weakened. Rook b1 played. But now queen a5, attacking a4, rook a1, queen b6. Apoorv may be happy with a draw with the black pieces and then can press with the white. Knight d3, Akhilbay is like, I'm going to fight on. Let's see what you do. Queen c7, still waiting. Oh my god. Rook to c1 played. And now do you go queen a5 again to attack the pawn on a4. This time Apoorv goes bishop c6. b3, now finally pushing away the knight. Knight e5. White is making progress here. Would love to play c4 at the right time, but b5. Oh my god, this creates weaknesses. Knight d3 and you can see the knight instantly wanting to jump to c5. Rook a8 taking the open file. Suddenly both players getting a bit bold, but look at the clocks. Equal time, offering a trade now. Apoorv trying to be as solid as possible. Goes knight d6. He wants to come back to c4. The bishop can take here, but then d takes c6 opens up the bishop on this diagonal. Insane. 6, 5, 4. Oh my god, Imangali needs to speed up. Queen e2. Apoorv goes queen e7, maybe queen g5. This pawn is a bit weak. f4 played. Rook a3. Queen comes to g4. Who's the more weaker here? Bishop takes a mistake. Finally blinking here, opening up the bishop's diagonal. Rook a2, the rook coming in. Black's position is close to winning now. Knight e4 attacks the queen. White is the one who flinched in under time pressure. f5 played. And he takes. Queen takes, but it's still not so clear. Anything can happen with just seconds on the clock. Rook e2. He tries to pin here. Knight goes back, but now rook takes rook was possible. And that would have been a winning position. He goes rook d3. But now rook comes to f1. f6 played. The rook goes to c5. Is there going to be some problems? He goes back. King h2 played. Rook e8. Putting pressure on the knight. Rook f2. Both players having 2 seconds. So much pressure. Apoorv goes bishop e6. But now queen takes queen. No, he blunders. He goes wrong. Queen d6, but now blunders the knight. Takes on e4. Oh my goodness. Apoorv was now winning, but rook b8 threatening to win the queen. But queen e8, rook b8. And now queen c5. He gets back. No, but he blunders here. The thing is, he gets back his material, but his king is too weak. h5 is hanging, rook d1. Check, king h7. And this time Imangali is going to lose this. Queen h5. He goes rook d1, threatening a mate on h1. Time, 2, 1. He plays rook f3, loses on time. Apoorv Kamble gets the first win. And now, the second game. Must win. You can see those final moments and everyone looking at that game. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I mean, this feels a little bit like the World Championship. Even during World Championship, you don't have so many guests looking at your game. And the arbiter comes in and says, do you want to kind of go to the other side? You want white on your side? Oh, well, any breaks required? The next game will start in couple of minutes. And Apoorv just needs a draw. He kept his cool there. He kept his nerves. And you can see him going out. Well, he just needs a break there. And there you have. That's the mother of Swara Lakshmi, also a strong player who's there, who's supporting Apoorv. And the boy really kept his nerves because towards the end, there was so much tension. For example, Apoorv was winning. At some point, he missed that moment when in this position, he could have played rook takes e5. He's getting some advice there. Queen takes e5 and then rook e8 with the queen coming to d5. This is very, very dangerous, rook coming in. But instead, he went rook d2. And then the position got again quite interesting. And this blunder, which was unbelievable, giving up the knight. But Imangali fought. He played this very nice move, rook b8. And with this, if queen c5 was found, then c8 was hanging. And wishes to Apoorv to go back. Rook c8 was the final nail in the coffin. And while Apoorv got some of the pep talk there from his well-wishers, Imangali was sitting at the board, all alone, just totally focused. This is insane. You know, these 30 minutes of chess is going to make these two players grow like anything in their life. They will draw on this game for a lot of confidence. The arbiter signals Vasant BH, one of the most experienced arbiters of Indian chess. And off we go. Pawn to e4. French defense by Imangali. Tarash defense and a6 played. Apoorv pauses a bit. He has to recollect his analysis. c5 takes, bishop takes. A draw with white should not be super difficult, but at the same time, in Blitz, you often cannot control what's happening in the games. Castles, knight to f6 and queen e2. A good, solid system played here by white, controlling the e4 square. And you can see Apoorv looking at the board carefully, So is Imangali. No chance for him to go wrong here. Akhilbay needs to play his best chess possible. Okay, first things, can you castle? Because if you castle e5, knight d7, there could be potential sacrifices. Although right now the g5 square is covered, but knight b3 and could think about such ideas. So, but he does castle, and Apoorv pushes the pawn knight d7. I'm tempted to knight b3. Knight b3, bishop a7, and then boom, takes. But actually, this is weird. If you go back, white's winning. But king g6. And now if you want to go queen g4, there's knight e5. So queen d3 check. f5, and it's very complex. But he goes c3. He doesn't go knight b3. So that doesn't lead to any such sacrificial ideas. Can Imangali play f6? A very typical break to get central space. But you can see already here, the Kazakh player is a bit slow. He has 2 minutes 13 seconds. Apoorv has 2 minutes 36 seconds. E takes f6, knight takes f6. I mean, if you don't do that, the e5 pawn would fall. So knight b3 first, attacking here. I guess there is a chance to take on e5. Look at this. Take, knight e5, fe, knight c5, knight c5, and now you can't take on e5 because d3 hangs. Ooh, is that a pawn blunder here? And Imangali takes on e5 and he asks Apoorv, did you just blunder a pawn? Not so sure though. Because I have this feeling that this line which we were just looking at, we start with knight e5, was like this pawn on e5 was quite weak there. But he goes bishop c2. And this gives black a free extra pawn. Apoorv makes a big mistake, I would say. Bishop a7. He goes bishop d6, which is also fine. Knight d4. Attacking e6, but this is a great opportunity for the Kazakh player to strike back. Knight to c5. A good move. f4. The e6 pawn is weak, but the knight comes back. And now notice, if you take here, it's already defended twice. You can't. Queen h5. f5 played, blocking the bishop. Clean extra pawn here for black. Apoorv brings his bishop out to e3. Knight jumps into e4. And rook a d1. Putting and piling pressure on the d file. Black now thinking about ways in which they can convert their advantage, because the position is a bit closed and white is having pieces on good square. So queen e8, do you trade queens or do you not trade queens? Apoorv feels trading queens would ease out the task of black, so he comes back. Bishop d7 played. I think one of the things that I've noticed about Apoorv is his fighting spirit. Even if his position is bad, he just wants to keep fighting. Knight comes back to f3. Rook to c8. And now rook fe1. Piling up the pressure on the e6 pawn. The knight goes back to e7. He goes knight d4. Knight to g6. Putting the pawn on g3 here. Just controlling the position. And he has a 30-second lead on the clock, Apoorv. That is a small edge you can be happy about. But I do feel that black's position is so good. The knight on e4 is an absolute beast. b5, and Imangali's confidence is rising. He's like, I can do this. a3 played. a5. Gaining even more space. Apoorv would love to jump with his knight in the center, but the square is controlled. What to do? Rook c1, he's finding moves which are like almost doing nothing. But a4, I have my doubts about that move, because b4 now will be difficult to engineer. Why do you want to take away options from yourself when you are in the, great position? You want to keep all options open. Rook d1. But I think Apoorv's speed is getting to Imangali here. Knight c2. Apoorv wants to put his knight on b4. Other knight on d4 now. Rook comes to c8, bishop develops, puts pressure on this diagonal. Bishop e8. Calmly playing here. Queen moves to g2. Where is he going? Is he going to h3 to put pressure on h7? Bishop comes up. Ooh. Is it knight b4 that we should play now? White has tempting options, but I still feel that this knight on e4 is such a monster. It keeps everything under control. Rook c1. Almost a nothing move. Ooh, e5. Man, that was a big decision there by Imangali, but I guess it was needed. Knight takes knight, bishop takes. Now the d5 pawn and f5 pawns can get weak. Knight d4. But at this point, black's position seems to have improved. The knight still remains on e4. He goes h6. Maybe rook b6 controlling this entire third rank was good. Okay, queen comes up to f3 now, attacking the f5 pawn. g6, do you want to defend it with that move? He goes bishop to g6. Rook d1. And b4. Whoa. If you take here, what's happening? I don't know. Maybe take here a3. He wants to attack this pawn. Apoorv says, I'll take with the c pawn. You show me your compensation. 25 seconds. Imangali is getting a bit nervous. Apoorv keeping his calm. He's got back his pawn. Rook b7. But now white's position looks better. Clearly. Queen f4. Offering a trade of queens. He just needs a draw. You don't want to be taking the queen. Maybe queen f6. But he takes. Pawn takes. Now the d5 pawn is falling. Rook d7. He defends it. But rook c1. Take the open file. Knight f3, knight e5 is also another idea. Yes, rook c1 played. He plays rook c7, but now take on c7 and bishop d5, free pawn to be taken. He can do that. Play. Apoorv has 28 seconds. He goes back, rook d1. Ooh, the pressure of the moment. Knight goes back to f6. Can we jump in with our knight to e6? Is that possible? He goes rook d2, waiting, knight e4, jumps in. Come back, rook d1. A draw is fine for you. Bishop h5, hitting the rook. Imangali suddenly creating some threats. Rook a1, oh, that's not a great move that you want to play. Knight d2, can we take this pawn? Bishop d5. No, king f2 he plays. He brings his king up. g5. Knight goes back, check, king g1. He goes, oh, he was going to play rook d8. Knight e6 would have been a fork. He goes rook b8. Now rook c1 offering a trade. This time, man, he could have taken on d5. That's the part which is being missed. But both players now down to 7 seconds, 10 seconds for Apoorv blunders. Knight e6 now. This time he can go for it. He goes for the fork. Check. Rook takes e4. Do you want to take it? No, he goes king g1. Also fine. Rook c6, and you can see that he's going to lose material, but he's trying for that one final attack. Knight d2 check, king f2 check here. He can come back to e4, but he even sacrifices his rook. He's now a piece up. Knight check. Apoorv is going to win this. He's going to get the bronze medal. Rook d6. The king comes up. Both players down to 6 seconds. Imangali says, what's there left to play? King d4, he brings his king up, rook c1, and it's time to throw in the towel. Apoorv wins. Imangali resigns. Apoorv is the bronze medalist at the Asian Junior Championships, and applause. What a spectacle received by everyone. Abhijit Kunte shaking hands with Apoorv. The chief guest came for the closing ceremony, but got to witness an incredible fight between these two youngsters. The Kazakh boy, well, he gave it his all, but Apoorv, he got the win in, and we leave you with these final moments at the venue with a happy Apoorv, who not only got the bronze medal, but also played one of the most exciting matches of his life.
Look at the board. and now hold the king. Yeah, thank you.